This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening everyone and welcome to Southern Cross News. A Hobart woman has been sentenced to 6 years in prison tonight after the car she was driving fatally hit a motorcyclist in 2016. The court heard Crystal Cohen was driving on the wrong side of the Brooker Highway and was significantly intoxicated when the incident occurred.
An emotional day as a family hears a long-awaited verdict. Justice Michael Brett tonight sentencing Crystal Cian Cohen to 6 years jail after her car fatally struck a motorcyclist in 2016. Cohen pleading guilty to the charge of manslaughter. On October 14, she was driving on the wrong side of the Brooker Highway, her blood alcohol reading more than 4 times the legal limit. She had already caused several cars to evade her path. Around 11 p.m, she struck Dion Hardy, a 48-year-old husband and father, riding a motorcycle near Elwick Road, the injury killing Mr Hardy almost instantly. Justice Brett tonight saying she had cost a man his life and permanently affected the lives of others. Cohen was emotional throughout the sentencing today, Justice Brett telling her that she won't be eligible for parole for 4 years. She will be disqualified from driving for 5 years after she is released from jail. Michelle Wisby, Southern Cross News.
A key witness in convicted killer Susan Neal-Fraser's appeal case has been sentenced to 12 months jail for perverting the course of justice. Stephen John Gleeson, who is already serving time for another serious offence, falsely and dishonestly identified a photograph of a 16-year-old boy for the purpose of seeking a retrial for Ms Neal-Fraser. She's serving 23 years for murdering her partner Bob Chappell on their yacht in 2009. Justice Shane Marshall said while Gleeson was tricked into making the false identification, the offence was extremely serious. Gleeson will be eligible for parole after serving 6 months of his new sentence. A Tasmanian man who emotionally abused and intimidated his partner for more than 7 years has been sentenced to 12 months in prison. The Launceston Magistrates Court heard 53-year-old Mark Anthony Carr of Rossarden physically abused his female partner, threatened to harm her family members and animals, and had control over her. The court also heard his partner's dog had been missing since the start of the year, but the magistrate is satisfied Mr Carr did not kill it. His 12-month sentence was backdated to the 21st of February. He'll be eligible for parole at the end of August. Thieves have staged a daring robbery at a family-run jewellery store, raiding the Sandy Bay business with a stolen car. The culprits are still on the run tonight, the brazen incident leaving the owners with a $25,000 damage bill.
A quiet Monday evening shattered. CCTV capturing the moment thieves smashed a stolen car into this jewellery store.
They backed the car up into the window, gave it a good shove and pushed it through, knocked the cabinets over.
One sent into the Sandy Bay business to scope the scene before smashing into this glass cabinet.
And then started to move around the store looking for jewellery to steal.
Its owners arriving before 2 a.m, just before police.
It was a little bit devastating to see the front window all caved in and just thinking, are these guys still around, or what's going on? And
the stolen vehicle soon found set on fire in South Hobart.
There has been a forensic examination conducted of both the scene of the burglary and the recovered burnt-out motor vehicle.
Grateful that there was no one hurt, of course, but it's pretty disconcerting to know that this kind of behaviour is going on in our community.
The family-run store has been operating for decades without any issues. Despite that, every precaution's taken, with the store cleared of valuables every evening. A precaution leaving these thieves with a handful of sample jewellery items.
So it is all replaceable, but it's just time and just more pressure on the business.
Still an added burden for Freya and Scott, who are in the process of claiming insurance for flooding.
They say it comes in threes, so hopefully the next one will be just a minor one.
Police say they're following a specific line of inquiry, but anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
A short list of the best sites to produce more hydroelectricity has been released ahead of a major investment into the state's energy capacity. Tasmanians are being promised better power prices from the investment, but its full potential hangs on whether a second Basslink interconnector goes ahead.
Pumping up our Battery of the Nation credentials. Hydro Tasmania singling out 14 potential gold mines for energy production. Of those 14 sites, the very best will have pumped hydro technology installed.
To narrow them down to perhaps 5, 6 or 7 with a capacity to double what Tasmania currently produces.
The state government says increasing supply will lead to low power prices and better energy security. But when it comes to providing more power to the mainland, the state and federal governments are yet to clarify who will pay for a second Basslink cable if it goes ahead.
I think a second interconnector is critical to these projects going ahead.
Today's announcement is the latest chapter in Tasmania's century-long commitment to hydroelectricity. But there's no word on when the new pumped hydro units will come online.
Over coming months, we'll have some executable projects ready for further work.
State Labor says the project is rolling with a flat tyre, weak renewable energy leadership at a federal level.
The federal Liberal government scrapped the clean energy target. Without certainty, we can't have certainty of investment in renewable energy.
One of a few tips for the Premier today.
Change the rules!
Also announcing a new iron ore mine will go ahead south of Burnie after receiving environmental approval.
I can't guarantee the sun will come up tomorrow, but like I said, we'll be working every day to make sure this project happens.
The Rosetta mine is tipped to create up to 100 ongoing jobs when up and running. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
Tasmania's Basslink cable is now back up and running 2 months after originally planned. The energy interconnector back online last night for the first time since it was damaged in March. The repairs were scheduled to take just 2 weeks, but were then delayed twice.
The most important thing to remember is that our energy security has not been compromised and will not be compromised.
Water storage levels remained around 37% during the outage. Hydro saying the loss had no meaningful financial impacts. Dark Mofo organisers have been left scrambling to make backup plans today, with guest speaker Mohammad Manoir Ali now unable to enter the country in time for his event. The British peace activist and former jihadist was scheduled to speak in Hobart on Sunday, but has now been told his visa could take several months to process. Instead, he will speak to audiences live over a video link from London.
Manoir Ali is absolutely devastated and surprised as well that he has not yet heard about his visa.
The festival has already invited Mr Manoir Ali back next year. A data breach may have put the personal details of University of Tasmania job applicants at risk. The PageUp website reporting unusual activity on its systems last month, the program used by the university in its recruitment processing. UTAS today warning those who applied for a job recently may be affected. Email addresses, bank details and phone numbers are all at risk. The university will contact those potentially impacted by the situation directly. A crash on the Lyell Highway near New Norfolk late yesterday is being blamed for major traffic delays on the Brooker Highway. Traffic was backed up and slow moving from around 4:30 until 6:30 last night. No serious injuries were reported. It's being described as a Technicolor menagerie. The doors opening tonight on one of the first exhibitions of the Dark Mofo lineup. Big rainbow cat and birthday cake, just a few of the 14 fantasy sculptures on display in the wildlife exhibition. The life-size creatures taking up to 60 hours to create.
Fake taxidermy. I use colourful polyester textiles and animal forms underneath to create these kind of fantasy object animal creatures.
The exhibition on display at Rosny Farm until June 29. Launceston screenwriter Vicky Madden is about to start creating another television drama here in Tasmania. Madden, who wrote The Kettering Incident, has developed another 8-part gothic crime series called The Gloaming. Overnight, online streaming service Stan announced it would air the episodes. Filming will begin later this year and The Gloaming will premiere on Stan in 2019. 2 Tasmanian college students are in the midst of developing a device which could revolutionise how we care for our elderly. The teenagers say it was their grandparents who inspired them to create the Awear device, and it's already winning awards.
Tiny pieces placed together, making a device that could be life-saving. These 2 grade 12 students from Rosny and Launceston College, the brains behind the Awear project.
A device designed for aged care residents to help get more immediate access when they're in need of help from a nurse.
After years of tinkering with microcontrollers, Mitchell came up with the original idea, inspired by his great-grandmother who lives alone. Now, thanks to 3D printing and sheer determination, it's an idea become reality. He's working on the device's hardware and prototyping.
What happens is we've got a button on the actual device that when that's pressed, it sends some information to a web server, which then sends some information to a nurse.
That information includes the location of the resident, with Isaac the mind behind the website.
And I'm working on being able to integrate it with systems that nursing homes have to be able to alert nurses properly.
The teenagers have spent months working on various iterations and nutting out how such an intricate device will work in the real world. It will detect a wearer's moves, alerting carers in the case of a minor alert or something more serious.
We're more just focusing on fall detection and immediate alerts.
The duo recently won the State Eye Award for their product, now set to showcase it on the big stage, heading to the National Awards in August.
A real opportunity to connect with industry. I think there's a real opportunity there that potentially is untapped. So I think, yeah, he might be on the cusp of something really big.
If people are actually using it, that would be amazing.
Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
It was a sight to behold along the Midway Point Causeway today as hundreds of opportunistic fisherfolk scrambled to catch their share of escapee salmon. It's believed the fish escaped from the Storm Bay salmon farms on the east coast during the state's recent extreme weather events and were clearly chasing an easy meal, much to the delight of anglers. Now a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. Higher prices for iron ore and oil and stronger than expected economic growth figures have helped boost the Australian share market and Australian dollar. The ASX 200 index has risen by 30.2 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 76.69 US cents and 108.64 New Zealand cents.
Well, he's one of the most promising athletes the state has ever produced, set to follow in the footsteps of his Formula One heroes. But hailing from humble beginnings, Alex Perroni says he won't forget those who were there from the beginning, including a century-old Tasmanian brand. Years before he stood on top of Formula Racing's podiums in Europe, Alex Perroni was a Tasmanian teenager with a big ambition and a raw talent for going fast.
Primarily it was about giving a young Tasmanian a go that otherwise would find it tough to play on the world stage.
Jumping on board as a major sponsor, Blunston has watched Perroni go from strength to strength on the Formula Renault circuit, meaning good things for the iconic Tasmanian brand also.
In the market that he's racing in, it's an incredibly well-followed sport. Our brand is starting to become much better known in that area.
Perroni's recent success in Europe now sees him on the fast track towards becoming the next Australian behind the wheel of a Formula One car since Daniel Ricciardo.
The way that the sport is structured is that they do allow the drivers to carry their traditional sponsors through so long as they're not competing with the team sponsors. It's very unlikely that we'll do that, so the opportunity will be there.
And in the midst of a gruelling schedule in Europe, the young driver says if he does reach the same heights as Ricciardo, he won't forget those who were there from the start.
You know, I'd love for Blunston to be there because without them I wouldn't have made it this far.
He doesn't feel as though he wants to burn us off. He wants to maintain the loyalty and go for the full ride with him.
Good evening. Flinders Island and Strawn topped our list today with 17 degrees. Hobart and Launceston just 12, Burnie 14, Devonport 16. -6 at Lyell was the low, Butler's Gorge and Lake Leak -5, and Fingal shivered through a -4 this morning. King Island and Smithton reached 16 degrees, Low Head, St Helens and Friendly Beaches 15, a top of 7 at Lyell and a cold 4 degrees the maximum at Ouse. Convective cloud developed over the north this morning after the early fog patches, the clearer skies over the south and southeast of Tasmania. Most of the cloud on the big map is moving through the Bight with a strong low pressure zone and adjoining cold front, and in combination with a surface trough has brought extensive cloud to South and Western Australia. Tomorrow the cold front moves further over the Bight. The high to the east is still maintaining a presence over most of eastern Australia. Northerly winds tomorrow at 15 to 25 knots, reaching 20 to 30 knots over the south and even stronger in the west, swells to 3 metres. Gale warning from southeast Cape to Stanley, a strong wind warning for remaining waters between St Helens Point clockwise to Flinders Island, and a small craft wind alert for the lakes. Tomorrow, Hobart becoming windy, partly cloudy and 13 degrees, 12 the top for Cygnet, and morning fog for New Norfolk, a top of 8 degrees. I'm just wishing the week to be over, aren't I? Showers developing for Launceston 17, 16 for Devonport, showers developing too for Campbelltown and 14. For Burnie tomorrow, a shower or two increasing in the afternoon, 16 the maximum, 16 for Strawn, and showers and wind for Smithton, 15 the maximum. St Helens a late shower, 17 degrees, 16 for Swansea, a windy day for Fingal with a shower and 15 degrees. Now on Friday, showers mainly over the north and west, early showers easing from the east and southeast. A fine start to the long weekend for most of the state, a shower though over the west and far south, a cold start to Sunday but fine until a possible evening shower over the northwest, Monday looking fine as well. Showers in Perth and 17 tomorrow, rain on the way for Adelaide, cloudy but fine in Melbourne, partly cloudy in Canberra and Sydney, and a showery day in Brisbane as Queenslanders wake up gloomy after losing State of Origin 1. Clear here though, Hobart 8 degrees, Launceston 7, cloudy in Devonport and 12 degrees. Got a blue tie on, Joe, but that's entirely coincidental.
Of course it is. Well, I'm going to go for the other team just to annoy you. That's all from the news team for now. Thanks for your company. We'll see you a bit later. Bye-bye.